Okay.
All right, Fernando, chiropractor, Brooklyn. So with that theme, I think I came down here just with a simple, looking for simple design, just looking for answers, right? You try to explore, figure out how to get better at chiropractic when you're young. Over the years, you realize how much it means. I don't have another group I go to. It's kind of like the resource. I certainly would say I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for coming down to Self Center, because I wouldn't know how to practice. I wouldn't have kept going at it, because that's why I said Self Center kind of keeps you on the straight and narrow, on the main part of the tree, on the trunk. And there's a lot of offshoots. I would have definitely gone off somewhere, and who knows what you're doing at that point. And it's hard to stay there in the middle and keep things simple. As Pasquale would say, it's hard work to keep things simple. And then, so I've been always trying to figure out how to handle my people. And recently I've been like, okay, I really gotta be the chiropractor, and it's a worry world out there, and I gotta be ready for anything that comes in. And most times people just come in, just a little hurt and they need help. Sometimes you do get wild people that there's not gonna be any help in them, right? But I recently, I've been in Pennsylvania, and I recently started doing a Bible study with the pastor. It's pretty intense. It's one-on-one. I don't know how this happened. I'm like, sure, I'll read the Bible with you, and obviously he's more experienced with the Bible than I am. But we just started. We started at the back end. We're going to be going to Revelation soon, but it's like, all right, we're starting at the end, which is cool. Let's get to let's see what happens. But I saw a couple of quotes that helped me, I think would help me in practice. It said, if you see some guy, you meet a guy who's older than you treat him like your father. If he's younger, you treat him like your brother. And the same thing with women. If they're older, you treat them like your mother. And if they're younger, you treat them like they're your sister. This guy also said, I think this was Paul, he said, try to love and enjoy them. Try to stir that up in you. Because sometimes it's really, it's pretty draining. You're going to go in there. And I'm just trying to see, we gotta get to the chiropractic here. We gotta get through everything else, and I just try to get through the process, But maybe trying to enjoy them, at least having that idea, will bring a good energy into the field. Because most of the time, I'm just trying to avoid their cuckoo-ness. And then they had another thing where if you're trying to kind of help these people along, if they're not seeing things correctly, the man advises, be humble and speak to them. How does he say it? They're mixed up concerns. Talk meekly and courteously to them. They're more likely to turn away from their wrong ideas and believe what is true. And I certainly never tried to force myself on people. But maybe that's the approach of just coming more humbly and patiently with the person. Because it is so hard sometimes to penetrate the ideas to people. I think more and more. I guess I was also talking last time how there's a big Tower of Babel idea going out there where people are just not making any sense, less and less. But fortunately with chiropractic, we don't gotta talk about it. Just get on the table and we're gonna do something. Right, Jackie? That's all I have to say.
All right, Fernando, thank you. Give Fernando a hug. All right, anyone else like to come up? Let me just get myself in order here. Good job, Jackie. Anyone? I'll say something now. So Brian Paxton Court and Chiropractic, Jersey City, New Jersey. The first time I came down here was January of 1998. You were here, Phil Chimay.
Yep.
And one of the biggest things I learned from Self Center is, well, the other thing is, we had some old timers. Pasquale graduated chiropractic school in 1943. For those of us who remember Stanley Alpert, he graduated in 1951. Then a little later on, a guy Arturo Ferrara came around. He graduated in 1956. So we got to be around some old timers, and just it's always nice to come around people and just talk about chiropractic. Right, Jack? So, but one of the biggest things I learned was down here to talk about all things are possible with God. And that's a biggie. because that's for me what chiropractic really helps people recognize. And then also what I realized was, I went through some notes. This Pasquale passed away March 1st, 2010. This is a quote of him from a meeting, February 4th, 2010. And he says, "The Ark of the Covenant is in the black matter. It is up to us to unleash it, and that is what Self Center has been doing, unleashing out of the Ark of the Covenant." So, I'm going to have to write something. And then he went further on in that meeting to say, we should be saying, instead of black matter, say dark matter. Well, that doesn't work. Let's find... You gotta find one that works. If not, I'll just tell you.
Try the other board, yeah.
Yeah. Put the word dark. And then he split it up. He put D, the apostrophe, ark. It's from the ark. So what's, Jackie, go over there. So what's going on is, the Ark of the Covenant is just buried underneath this debris. And chiropractic helps us to break all that up. Now, if you want to know what the Ark of the Covenant is, I'm not going to get into that. That's a bit of a longer discussion. You can find out on your own and what it means to you. But the other thing is that I take away from this is, and the darkness comprehended it not. Once that ark or the light comes out of that darkness, the darkness can never take it back. The light's just free. And that's what we're going through right now. And the light sees nothing but the good that comes out of the evil. That's another big thing I learned down here at Self Center. Because the world's crazy right now, and I think because what's going on is we're having the ingathering right now. Because you had spring, summer, autumn, winter. And it's been the winter season a long time, but we're out of the winter season. We're in the ingathering, which is spring, summer, autumn, back to spring again. There's a lot of people who don't want you to know that that's going on right now. They want to keep us in the winter season and keep us like that. But it's not happening. And I believe because we're coming down here at Self Center all the time and doing this work. And by doing that work, it's making people realize, and I'll end on this, which is extremely important for us to know, that all things are possible with God. And that's really what chiropractic does for people. And that's what Self Center, I believe, does to people. That's why this place is important and how powerful it is. So that's all I have to say. Jack's having a great time. Anyone? Jack, when other people speak, though, I'm going to hang on to you. Bob Watton. Come here, cutie pie.
Good evening, everybody. Bob Watton, Brooklyn, New York. The first Self Center meeting I went to, I didn't even know who Pasquale was, and he wasn't there. I was in my first quarter of chiropractic school out in California, and the chiropractor that I was going to at the time, taking care of me, was Bruce Moore. He was a network practitioner, and he asked me to go with him to Gabriel Russo's office in Palo Alto, California. And he said he's having a meeting. I can't remember exactly what he said, but he said he's having a meeting. So I went out there to the meeting, and I just remember it was the same exact format as here, and Gabriel did a really good job of moderating it, and I just remember there was a lot of love in that room. It was like an awesome feeling. And I got up and spoke. I think I said something to the audience. I said, can everyone get up and hug each other or something like that. I don't know what made me think to do that, but everyone got up, hugged each other, kind of broke the tension in the room. So that was my first Self Center meeting, and then in 1995, I took a quarter off from school, and I was back in New York, and I was about to go back to school, and this chiropractor who I was hanging out with up in Rockland County said, if you're not doing anything Saturday night, let's go to Ernie Landy's, he's having a meeting. And I was a patient of Ernie Landy's, he was my second chiropractor, and I never knew about these meetings he was holding in his office. So I go there, everybody gets up and speaks, and then the last person to get up and speak was Pasquale. So he gets up, and I just remember him radiating chiropractic. Like, I can't remember exactly what he said, I just felt it. And I felt like I had to go and talk to him, so I went up, I asked him, I said, would you come to Life West to speak? He said, sure, I'll go anywhere. So long story short, he comes out there, he stays with me, he speaks at the school. We were holding self-center meetings, you know, I think in my house and at a hotel even, I think I set up. And I still never came here to Brooklyn, but he told me, you know, when you're back in New York, come down here. So tonight when I was coming here on Hamilton Avenue, I felt like that first time I was coming here to here for the first meeting, and just a feeling of excitement, like when I was coming down Hamilton Avenue, like just feeling excited to finally get here. And I think at that time, I think he was doing the meetings in the back room, and it was a small group we had. I remember Bob Linton.
Yeah, Bob Linton.
Yeah, he was there. But like you asked what self-center means to all of us? Is that was your initial thing? Yeah, so for me, well, first of all, I didn't know what I was getting myself involved with when I went up to him. I just thought he was an old-time chiropractor that had a lot of conviction. I didn't know he had all this spiritual wisdom and insight, so I didn't know I was getting into that. So that opened a whole nother world that I never expected. So that was very meaningful and awesome to me, because I don't think I would ever have gotten it anywhere else, obviously, because he was, as you all know, I'm preaching to the choir, everyone knew he was an original type of thinker. So that was awesome. And then the other awesome thing was meeting all of you. Like, I didn't expect that, you know, all the chiropractors that came out of it, so that I got to meet. And then also there was a chiropractor that was down here one night from my school, and she recognized me, Amy Burke. I didn't recognize her. She was a couple of quarters behind me, or years, whatever. So she introduced me to a chiropractor that I ended up covering in Queens, and that's where I met my wife, Connie, was through that.
Oh, wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so self-center, you know, this path I went down basically unfolded me to this present moment, as all of you are here as well. So I just want to say I love all of you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Recap. We're going to give each person 5 minutes to talk about just what self-center, what it means to them, and things like that, okay?
Did I speak for 10 minutes?
No, you did fine. All right, the floor is open for whoever would like to come up. All you gotta do is come on up. Anyone? I'll give you guys a break to think about it. Just close that door. All right. So Jack wants to know who wants to come up. You don't have to, but it'd be nice. Just throw that in the garbage. Mark Johnson. Oh boy. No. It's right on the screen.
Mark Johnson, chiropractor, Red Bank, New Jersey. It's funny that when you said that, Bob, because I'm driving up here and I forgot who mentioned it earlier. But it was about Pasquale. Oh, it was my niece. My niece is the one that told me about Pasquale the first time. And she was going to New Beginnings meetings. She went to Life. And she said, you gotta meet this guy. He's like Pop, my dad. You have to enunciate the words. He would always say, you have to enunciate. Remember, he would say clearly when you speak to people. And so she said, you gotta go, he's gonna remind you. So I think it was their next meeting that they had. It was in May or April. And it was at a Sheraton. And I went down there. I didn't really vibe with the group. But my niece said, you got to meet Pasquale. So I go up and meet Pasquale. I didn't hear him speak. He wasn't speaking then. I think he spoke later in the weekend. And so I met him outside the bar. So we sat in this like lounge area, and we must have talked for about an hour and a half. And I just felt like there was some kind of a connection. I was meant to meet this guy. And he's a very spiritual man, super intelligent guy. Was very comfortable in his own skin. I felt like he was a God man. You know, to me, I felt like this is, if somebody had to describe what a God man would be in human form, and you're conscious of God and you're conscious of being human at the same time simultaneously, I thought Pasquale was that kind of guy. And so after I meet him, I didn't stay for the weekend. I didn't do the weekend there. But the next Thursday, he was having meetings down here every Thursday, and Bob Crystal was at the New Beginnings too. And Bob goes, oh yeah, I go up to the self-center meetings, because I was talking to him. I said, that guy Pasquale's pretty cool, you know? And we sat outside the bar for like an hour just talking about everything. It wasn't just chiropractic, it was just like everything. And I thought he was gonna, and at that point my dad had passed on. So it was like he did remind me of the energy of my own father in that way, and he was like a father figure to me more than anything in a lot of my life after I did meet him and connect up here. So I started coming up Thursdays with Rob Crystal, and we'd have the meetings here, and I thought it was very cool that everybody got up and shared. And getting to meet you folks is like really paramount. Why I keep coming back here, because I need friends. I need good people that are not just chiropractors. Don't have to be a chiropractor, but love to be human, love to be real, and love to perpetuate and talk about chiropractic and educate people in the chiropractic. So as I'm driving up here tonight, I'm thinking about all the nights I drove up here, and I'd leave here about 2:30 in the morning, and he used to have us in the community room, and somebody already would bring a jug of wine, and you know, everybody was drinking wine or making drinks or something like that. And I'm thinking some of these nights driving home, they were kind of like rough nights, and it was snowy. Some of the nights were snowy even driving home. And I remember no matter what, rain or shine, we had meetings here every Thursday night. And I thought it was really cool how at the end he would put everybody's talk together and almost like give you an idea why this was spoken about, and that Fernando got up and talked about something, Tom Musto got up and talked about something, and then Bob, but he would put it all together. Remember, at times he would do that. At the end of the meeting, I mean, not at times. And so I look at this, it's kind of a, I realize, okay, this is probably the last holiday party or whatnot. It's a party every time we're all together anyway. But it's just, it was kind of a sentimental cruise up here, thinking, all right, I'm riding up here and in Brooklyn, and I'm going to see you guys, and I was looking forward to it. Whether there's 2 people, 3 people, or 6 or 7, we always have a great time. And I just feel like a really good love connection here. Pasquale brought love to this place, and he brought love to us. You could feel it coming out of him. And some people, he'd get on their case when they were, you know, like grow up, he would say to them, or things like that. But me, he was always very sweet. He was very like a loving father kind of figure. I miss him a lot. I was here the night after he had passed and stayed in the house actually that night with everybody here. And it was a very, very special time, and it is very special here. And I'm coming in, and there's a leak tonight, and you guys are all handling the leak, and it's an old place, but man, it's got a lot of character. I'll miss coming here whenever we're not going to be able to come here. But anyway, he was a very spiritual. I felt like a religious guy without pushing religion on anybody. It wasn't about religion. He was a God man, and he had faith. Man, guy, incredible faith that I can only aspire to having a connection like that to God, like he had, because he had 100% belief. I saw parts of his body look like he had his toe blown up about this fat one time and infected, and I'm thinking, yeah, he's gonna lose that foot if he doesn't take care of it. And he's like, nah, I'm just gonna get adjusted and it's gonna go away. And damn it went away. He didn't die. And his toe didn't fall off and it didn't, make him sick. All right. That's it.
Before it's open, whoever would like to come up? All you gotta do is come on up. Anyone?
I'll go, but you have to watch that.
Alright. Jackie, Ben! Come on.
Hi, I'm Sarah from Jersey City, and the first time I heard about Self Center was probably, let's see, I read the book my freshman year of chiropractic school, my first year with Pasquale's, what's that book? With
Chiropractic Revealed.
Chiropractic Revealed, and I loved his chapter. But what's so funny is I missed the last paragraph where he says there's a group doing this work in New York. But I really remembered what he said, everything else, and it stuck with me. And then about 5 years ago, Wade Port said, why don't you go to this self-center meeting? It's in Brooklyn. And he gave me the information. And I remember I kind of tuned into it and I was like, it feels like a lot of men. And I feel like the room is dark. I don't know if I want to go there. So a year later, I see Wade Port again. And it's like, you need to get adjusted. Go take the PATH train and see Brian Corrigan. So, and I didn't put together that the self-center meeting that he told me about before had to do anything with Brian. So I went and I got adjusted by Brian. Now, when I was waiting in his waiting room for the first time, what I noticed was I didn't feel a personality. And I was used to these really successful chiropractors in California or wherever, the people that I had worked for were big personalities, like celebrities. But kind of like it was about them, And when so in Brian's office, I was like, it's very quiet in here, even though there's like a number of people, and I can't tell what his personality is like. That's interesting. So the second time I came to get adjusted, I was waiting in the waiting room, and this woman goes, these chairs are from his mentor, the chairs you're sitting on. And he's like, yeah, his mentor in that picture. So he was talking about Pasquale. So when it was my turn to get adjusted, I told Brian what she had told me about the chairs. And this thought, I don't know, it's like Spirit gave me this thought. I said to him, do you still meet? Do you have a group that meets? And he's like, oh yeah, we have a meeting this weekend. Why don't you come on down? So before that, what I forgot to tell you is my first 3 years opening a practice in Manhattan were challenging because I had no community of chiropractic community. I looked for it, but I found like there was like a competitive vibe or a too busy vibe. No one really wanted to spend time getting to know me or being support for each other. And it was a lonely feeling. It's lonely to support so many people and not have anyone with you. And then I was also dealing with looking at chiropractic profession and seeing a lot of what success seemed to be was how successful you are at manipulating people. And whether it's, that was what I was learning. Like, is that real success? Like, do I really want to be like a great communicator and where I'm, convincing someone to do something in that way? So the third time I met Brian was when I was coming to the self-center meeting. And I was walking up to the meeting and I saw Phil Bracco outside and I knew he was a chiropractor. He had like an aura of light around him and I was like, wherever that guy's going, I'm supposed to follow him. So I followed him in. That day, there was more women here than men, which is funny because I think it's the only time that's ever happened. Phil's wife was here, Linda was here, Marta Catalina was here, and I was here. And right away, Linda was like, hi, I'm a medium. So I thought that was cool.
I got it.
I heard Brian start speaking and immediately like my jaw fell to the floor. I had no idea. He was so principled. And after that, I would say it's history. Self-center is everything it's said to be and more. One thing that stands out is Nancy said self-center is not a physical place. So I believe it's something inside of us that brings us together. And another thing about self-center is I know everyone here, if anyone needed anything, would be there in a second. That I could, that's just how the group is. It's just super high integrity and really devoted to service and love. Thank you.
You're so wild, Jack. I'm gonna have to keep my eye on you for the rest of it. All right. Anyone else like to come up? Joanne.
Yeah.
So, hi, Joanne Chimay, chiropractor's wife and chiropractic patient. Let me see, what year? 2004? I came here. I was dating this crazy chiropractor, and and he said he had a mentor. I said, oh, can't be any crazier than him. He was. But I've been a chiropractic patient for, I learned how to adjust necks when I was learning massage up in Massachusetts at Mishokushi, and they're doing macrobiotics in the 70s. And I learned how to adjust necks, but I never did chiropractic, or had a chiropractic adjustment by a chiropractor. But when I finally did get my first adjustment, it was right after my third son, so 85. And then I started chiropractic, and it was great, and I loved it, and I loved it for my kids. I always felt like I outgrew my chiropractor because I knew chiropractic always offered something more than the chiropractors were explaining to me. I was like, don't they get it? Like, they don't get this. There's something happening here, and they don't even know what they're doing. Then I outgrow that chiropractor, and then I go to another one, and then something would happen at that chiropractor's office, and the same kind of thing. Like, they don't even know what they have here and what they're getting. So I knew chiropractic worked just from the adjustments and how I felt, and when I first went for that chiropractic, I was getting extreme migraines. I mean, where I couldn't come out of bed. Light hurt, I throw up, and the pain, it was just excruciating. So I never got them again. I just never got them again. So, and I attribute that all to chiropractic. And my kids growing up, I always took them to chiropractors, even there, I'll take them to the well baby checkups, and the pediatrician was like, I never see your kids. And I'm like, well, don't they ever get sick? And I go, yeah, take them to the chiropractor, and they get well really quick. And he was like, great, keep doing it. So that was really good. I had good support that way. So when I first came here, though, because I really, and it's because Pat taught Phil how to adjust so well. When he first adjusted me, those of you who don't know the story, when he first adjusted me, I was very impressed by his adjustment. Did not like Phil.
This is true.
Could not wait to get away from him.
This is true.
But I loved his adjustment, and that I felt chiropractic. I said, this is a good chiropractic adjustment. He's getting it. A year later, when I came back, and then he said to me, he's trying to impress me, and he says, come down to self-center. So I come down, I come inside the office in there, And at that time, it was all set up still, you know? It was really beautiful still, it was all, I was like, right, I was amazed. I was like walking around going, this is amazing, this is history, this is it, like this is where you really get it, he knows what he's doing here. And walking in and the upstairs, they had the locker rooms and then you know, come to the adjustment. It was just, I was amazed, you know, when we came down here and the meetings. So when Pat would talk, and he knows like a lot about my history, about, you know, spirituality and all the different people that I've worked with, just, you know, lots of very spiritual people. So every time he'd end the meeting in here, and you know, we'd always say, "Get it?" You know? And then he'd go in the back room and he'd sit down and he would whisper to me. It was so adorable. He would go like, "What'd you think? Wasn't it good? You know, I know you get it. I know you get it." And he wouldn't let me answer. He wouldn't let me talk to him. But like, he'd just say that to me, and I was like, it's like great. It was like another adjustment, right? It was just like, I don't need to have this explanation with you. You just know what it's supposed to be and being in that. And I really love that. I'm not a Bible person. Now I'm getting more respect for it since Phil's interpretation of it. I'm really enjoying what he's doing with his book. It's not one of my books. I'm a feminist at heart. Yes, Phil married a feminist. So, you know, the 4 books of the New Testament, they took all the women out, what happened to Mary Magdalene, all this other stuff. So it's incomplete. And, you know, it's mostly Paulism, the New Testament, so it's not my gig. Anyway, but I like when Dr. Pat would do some of the pieces and pull them out, and, you know, I just really respected it. And I really think this place, I really know that this place is holy ground. It's holy grounds. You know, the whole intention of this building, it's in the wood, it's like a vortex. You know, they can measure holy ground now. They really can. And, you know, the vibrations in here, it's chiropractic, it's alive and it's living, and I just feel very blessed to be able to be here.
Thank you.
I can't thank you all enough for being here for Phil and Brian. Guys, Brian, what you've done, it's just really amazing. It's a lot of work.
The flow is open for whoever would like to come up. We just got 3 issues. Alex.
Hey everybody, Alex Wilkowitz, chiropractor in Bloomsburg, Pennsylvania. When I first came to Self Center, it was interesting. I was in school in upstate New York, and we had a group of people related to the student ICA, and they were going to go to the New Beginnings. And we were going to leave, I forget what day, but they said, oh, we're going to leave a day early, and we're going to stay at this great, like, old-time chiropractor's office in Brooklyn. And I remember at the time thinking, I never heard of some old-time great chiropractor in Brooklyn. He must not exist. So, you know, we drove down, and that was an adventure into itself, just, you know, being young, and I ended up driving with kind of a maniac. And, you know, it's funny. I still remember when we got near here, there was something very special, but I remember we were coming up 4th Avenue, and then turned on 31st. And it's funny, every time I come back, I still just almost get like butterflies. It just reminds me of that. And even between 1998 and when I first came back more recently, 6.5 years ago, took the subway and was coming up 4th Avenue, and I got the same feeling. And every time I do come back, whether I'm driving or in the car or walking, there's just something so special. It's like coming to like the place where chiropractic is for me. It's a home. And I know I definitely would say that the connections we have with each other are the most important thing, but this physical location is just, it just blows my mind every time. And every time I come down, and you know, Brian has kept things going amazing, and he keeps in contact, and he's been so encouraging over the years, which has really been a blessing. And I feel like I've grown so much. And it's funny how I think, 6.5 years ago where I was, I knew I wanted what was here, but I didn't know, I knew I needed it, but I didn't know why. And then as time goes on, I just feel like it's home. It's coming home, getting a little more warmth and energy, and it just makes things work. And that's that.
Excellent. All right, the floor is open. We just have the two Phils left.
Great to be here, and I guess I came in late, but I guess this what does the self-centered mean to you? So everybody's talking about Pasquale, so I'll just say that I was at a meeting in Queens, Bill Remling's office, and I met Pasquale got up and spoke that night, and I said, oh, he's really got something good. So I heard he had a meeting in Brooklyn, and I'm in Staten Island, so I said, wow, this is so easy. I could just jump over the bridge and be here in no time. So the first time I came, Pasquale, it was the Thursday night, he gave his talk, and then we went in the back, and he had that couch along the wall there, and I sat down on the couch. I really didn't know anybody, a lot of strange faces, and he came down and he sat down with me on the couch, and I felt like he went out of his way to make me feel at home. And that, like, I was welcome here, and that I was special, and I should be here. And I'll never forget that feeling, and I never stopped coming back after that. So, what does the self-center mean to me? Oh, one other thing before I get back to that is that, I knew Pasquale had something special in him, and I knew that he was giving it out, and I really wanted it. I wanted to get it, I wanted to understand, I wanted to learn. I wanted to be better, and I also felt that Pasquale deserved the best, and I always kept that in my mind, and I would take him out to dinner once a week, every week, never failed. My wife was a saint, because she never said, "You're going out to dinner again with that guy?" She never said a word like that. So, and we would go over to the Pippin's Pub and all these different places, and we tried all these different restaurants, and I would take Pasquale to some of the finest restaurants in Manhattan, and we would have a ball, just laughing and having a great time. And when I looked at Pasquale one day, I saw him give a speech, I can't remember what it was, and I said, you know what, he needs a new suit. And I'm not bragging on myself. This is not about me. I'm just saying this about Pasquale. I wanted him to have the best. I wanted him to have the best. So I took him to a suit place, where they make suits for people. And I think I spent $1,500 on that suit for him. And I didn't think anything about it, like, oh, I'm spending this money, just because I felt like he should have the best. He should really be spectacular. And then he wore it when he gave a talk, I think it was in Long Island, and I said, wow, he looks freaking great up there. And I was proud about that. Okay. So, when you're a chiropractor, you kind of sometimes feel like you're on your own, like you had said, and some people had said. So, chiropractic, like we talk about True North, I think about chiropractic as being True North as well. It's right there. And a lot of my friends who were chiropractors, who I went to school with, who I graduated with, who even when I talked to them, I felt like they were like over here, over there, over here, over there, and I really wasn't chiropractic. So by coming to the self-center every week, I got like a kick in the ass, more or less, once a week. Get back to chiropractic. Give them chiropractic. Give them chiropractic. Serve them chiropractic. that opens up so many doors for us when we do that. You talk about the pleasures in life. The pleasure is meeting your mate, your soulmate, your children being born. All these different pleasures that you have in life. Pleasure, how about the pleasure when you give someone the chiropractic adjustment and they get off the table and say, wow, that was really something. I feel so much better. They felt better, they feel better. And they're amazed. And it gives you such a warm feeling on the inside. Something that you say, wow, that's satisfaction for me. That's pleasure for me. And if you keep getting that every day, every day, every day, your life becomes pleasure. Your life becomes satisfaction. And even though all these things happen to us, and some of them are not good, and some of them, we really wish we could do without, but every experience, even if whatever it is, you get back to that place, that true chiropractic, the true north, if you want to call it that. And the feeling that you get when you serve people is it's just indescribable. And it's inside of you. And when you get it, it's got you. And you want more of it. And that's why chiropractic is so great today.
Thank you, Phil. That's great. Are you coming up or remaining silent?
You want me to remain silent?
It's never happened.
This is true. But I did it for
Joanne
4
can
hours.
testify to that.
I did it for 4 hours. I don't believe you. I did. That's Joanne. I had to. Amma, right? Yeah. Phil Chimay, chiropractor, Kings Park. I finally settled down. Boy, what could I say about this place? I came in 1983. Dr. Anthony Gagliotti, a friend of mine who graduated with me, said, Phil, you'll find this character interesting. That's what he said. You'll find this character interesting. So we came down, I sat over there in the pews. We had pews. Sat over there. I'm looking at Pat and he's talking. And I leaned over to Tony, I said, this is Satan. He's trying to deceive us. Don't listen. So I'm listening. Then we get into the back, the fellowship, and I got a million questions. The first thing he said, stop analyzing. He said it from day one. Stop analyzing. I said, that's my nature. I gotta analyze everything, Pat. I need answers. That's my problem. I need answers. And so I said, okay, he gave me some satisfactory answers, so let me come back next week. I came back next week, another ton of questions, and again for about 2 or 3 years. And I can honestly say, at that time I was doing well in my practice. I had the 2 kids, I had the 2 houses, I got the picket fence, I got the cars, I got the money, and I wanted to quit. I wanted to become a lawyer. You believe this?
Yeah.
She believes. Because I like to argue. I wanted to become a lawyer because what had happened was you can ask anybody, Jim Bradman will attest to this, I was at best adversarial with Pat. Anytime we were loggerheads a lot of times for a lot of things. And yeah, you're crazy, man. And I would tell him this just like that. And so I stopped coming because he would always yell at me and say, well, just stop it, just shut up and listen. Just shut up and listen. Stop analyzing. And so I said, you know what? This place isn't for me. I came in '83, so about '86 I stopped coming. And I was doing my own thing. And then I met George Abood. Remember George Abood and Mary? Mm-hmm. And I happened to see him. I came down with Frank Ozerak, and Mary pulls me to the side and says, where you been? I said, I haven't come back. Why? Why haven't you come back? Are you kidding? Pat and I are like this. Two Italians, ramming heads. I gotta get my point across, he's gotta get his across, like this. And I'm always questioning him, I'm always saying you're full of crap. And that's it, that's the way I was, and that's the way he was. No, he misses you. What are you talking about, he misses me? I'm a pain in his ass. No. You don't understand, Phil. You challenge him. You make him think. Because you say, well, what about this? I heard this. I read about the Buddha saying this, and you're saying that. How do you reconcile the two, you know? And he found that challenging. It made him go back and think about it. I said, so he wants me there to be a pain in the ass? Yes. Because how does an oyster make a pearl?
Irritated.
You got irritated. So by me irritating him, I was polishing him. That's what he finally told me. You're my polishing agent. You smooth me out. You're a pain in the ass. But at least you smooth me out. And at the same time, he changed my whole life because I thought I was a bone crusher, backcracker. And that's why I wanted to become a lawyer. A monkey could do what we do, right? Just jump up and down your back. A geisha girl. So what the hell's so special about a chiropractor? And that's what I thought. And then he gave me the spiritual aspect that they didn't give us in school. I don't know about you guys, but they didn't give it at NYCC. All right? So this guy, I was going this way, he nudged me to go that way. And the further I went, the further away from this I went, the more towards the true north I went, to now looking at chiropractic totally in a whole different light. And now I can't figure out why chiropractors don't get it. Of course they're not going to get it, because I didn't get it, because we weren't taught this in school. And by the grace of God, I met Pat. I irritated her. It's true, she couldn't stand me when she first met me. And Pat couldn't stand me, and I couldn't stand him. So we were irritating each other, but then we finally polished each other off, you know. We made each other better. I was a diamond in the rough, and so was he, and we polished each other up, basically. And because of Pat, I'm writing the book, I'm rewriting the Bible. He made me see this whole vocation. I like to call it a vocation, not a profession. A profession, it means you gotta be paid. And we're paid far greater riches than money. Far greater. Just understanding yourselves. Socrates said, a life unexamined is not worth living. How many people go through life living their lives based upon what they were told by their parents or their teachers or their politicians, and never living their own true selves because they never decided to examine their own true selves? What the hell are you living for then? For somebody else? The hell with that. Examine yourself. And that's what Pat taught me. To examine myself. Shut up, sit still, and the answers will come to you. Stop analyzing. And with that, I'm done.
Thank you. Excellent. Well, that's it. I'm just going to leave it at that. And thank you everyone for coming.
And thank you.
We'll have a meeting here in January. We'll figure it out.
And one other thing. I want to thank all of you, because in the beginning when Pat passed, or made his transition, I'll call it, it was just Brian and I coming down for almost a year or so,
At
or
least.
longer. If you guys don't come down, there's no self-center. Self-center, Pat said, chiropractic is no good without the people. What good are you if nobody comes? So what good is self-center if nobody comes? So keep coming down. Simple.
Pat also said, I'm looking for 12 good people.
There you go.
It's quality and
It's not quantity, it's quality.
people are sensing that's the strength of South Center, and if they can handle
Yeah.
it, they'll come down.
That's right.
So we'll leave it at that. Thank you. For show.